In this AlignMix how-to video, you will learn how to import zip code-based data into AlignMix. Now in the previous video, you learned how to set up your data in Excel, and we will briefly review that during these imports. There is no specific order for your imports. We are starting with the zip to territory import, but you can import your sales accounts first or even your sales rep roster first. There is no order. But for this video, we will focus only on the zip code-based data for the imports. So here on the screen, you see a very basic zip to territory import. And here we just have a territory ID. We don't have the territory name, and that's fine. Some companies just have that unique ID for their territories. So we will go ahead and import just the zip code to territory ID assignment. And this will create that geographic component where you'll see actual shapes for our territories appear on the map. So let's go ahead and open up a blank AlignMix file. Here we have our blank AlignMix file. There hasn't been any data imported into this file. That's why you can see that's pretty much blank. To start the import process, you click on File, Import, and then import your data. Then we select the data file for import. If you plan on importing from a different worksheet, maybe worksheet 2 or 3 in that workbook, you click here on the back button and then you select the worksheet you plan to import. So let's go back to the first one. If you didn't have your column labels appearing in row 1, but maybe in row 2, you would click on row 2 or even 3. But by default, we have everything set in 1, and the software recognizes that by the default settings. And now we click on Next. Here on the left side of the import screen, you will see the 2 column labels appearing. And that's because the software recognizes those column labels. In order to import our zip code to territory assignments, you click and drag with the left button on your mouse from the left and drag it here to zip code ID. And that's telling the software to look at the zip codes. Then we want the zip codes assigned to a territory ID. We drag that here to ID. If you had more information like the territory name or even a sales rep, you would drop that in here. You can also build a hierarchy during this import, which I'll show you in the next import. But for now, we just want to import the zip code and the assigned territory. Click on Next. We receive a summary of everything we are about to import and click on Next again. If you had perfect data, which never happens, you would see 0 import errors. In this case, we only have 1 import error, and you can click the Save button here to view that in Excel. Most common errors occur from incorrect postcodes. Maybe you've imported your data into the US, but there was some Canadian FSA rows in there. Those will appear as errors. Blanks will appear as errors, and typos will appear as errors as well. So now let's click here on Finish. And now you'll see our geographic shapes have been created. So everything that was in that Excel file, that whole list of 40,000 zip codes, have now been assigned to territories. So now let's go back to our Excel file, and now let's do a second type of import. And I'm going to call this the jigsaw example. Sometimes when you import your data, you may have pulled that list from a CRM list that just gives you a massive list of your zip codes and the zip codes territory assignments. So in this example, you will see a somewhat of a jigsaw appear on the map. So again, here we have a blank AlignMix file, and I will repeat our import process, clicking on Import Your Data, selecting that same file for import. But this time we do click on the back button and we're going to open up our jigsaw example and click on Next. The zip code again goes to zip code ID because that's the type of import we are working on now, and zip codes again are assigned to a territory. Click Next, and this time you see we have 20,000 rows of data, but close to half of them are actually duplicates. And now let's click on the Next button and Finish. And now you see essentially a jigsaw. What the software did here is it did exactly what it did in the first import. It looked at every zip code in your list and assigned that zip code to a territory. But it only actually had 9,000 unique zip codes out of 40,000. That's why you see a lot of these tan areas that are unassigned zip codes. There is no assignment for those areas from that zip code list in Excel. So from here, you could either use the touch align tools, which we will teach you how to use in later videos, or you can use a clean alignment tool, which you will also learn about in the clean alignment video. But essentially, it will fill in those gaps for you. So I'm going to go ahead and start a brand new file once again. And this time we are going to do a third type of zip code import. So for this third import, we are going to import our zip code assignments and also a hierarchy. So territories will be assigned to districts and districts will be assigned to regions. So let's go back to AlignMix and now do this import. So let's go to File, Import, Import your data. We select that same workbook and click on Open. This time we do have to click on the back button and we must click on Zip, Territory, District, and Region. And you'll also notice that this time we don't just have a territory ID, but we have a territory name as well. So zip code gets dragged to zip code ID, territory ID to territory ID, territory name to territory name, the assigned district to district ID, and same for region. Region gets dragged to region ID. We click on Next, and again we receive a summary of everything we are about to import. 41,000 rows of data, so that's almost every single zip code in the US. We're importing 99 territories. Those territories are assigned to 10 districts, and the districts are assigned to 3 regions. So clicking on Next, that import is completed, and click on Finish. And right away you will see our geographic territories are created, and each one has that 3-digit ID for that territory. If I right-click on this territory and click on Properties, you will see the name of the territory. If we did import our sales rep assignments, that would be included here. And we also see that district assignment. So we know that our hierarchy was created during this import. I can view a district map by clicking on the new tab to view districts, and those are our districts, and a region tab to view the region map, and you can see all of our regions, the 3 regions that we've imported. So now let's create a new file once again, new project. And this time we are not going to create any geographic territories, but we are going to import zip codes with zip code data linked to that zip code. So let's go back to Excel to see that file. So here we've got zip code and population data. And you'll notice there aren't any territory assignments here. So these zip codes are being pulled in with a data set, and that's it. So you will not have any geographic territories created during this import. You can, however, import zip code and population data into a zip code file that you've already created in AlignMix. So if you've already created your geographic territories with an import, you can just follow that up with a second import to link some data to each zip code. So let's go back to AlignMix and do this import your data, select that same file for import, and again, we have to click on the back button. And this time we are going to select zip code population data and click Next. So zip code gets pulled over to zip code and population gets over here to zip code data. So you see there is no data for sales reps, territories, districts, or regions in this example. That's because for this example, we are not creating existing territories in this map. Click on Next, Next again. This time you see we actually have retired zip codes. So AlignMix will recognize if you've got old zip codes that no longer exist in the newest zip code shapes. And now click on Finish. And it may look like nothing's happened because there aren't any geographic territories. And again, that's because we didn't import any territory assignments. But if I lasso an area and let go, you will see that there is zip codes lassoed and there's population data linked to all those zip codes. So let's go back once again to our Excel file. The final type of example I'd like to show you is the file that will import everything at the same time for you. So in our first import, we just imported zip codes and territories. Then we had an import that created a hierarchy, and then we imported population information. You can actually import all of that at the same time. So let's go back to AlignMix and open up a brand new file. So go to File, New Project, and Start New Project without saving, and click on Finish. So here we have our brand new blank AlignMix file. Click on File, Import, Import your data, and again, select that same file for import. And I should mention, you do not need all of your worksheets to be in the same workbook. You can import worksheets from multiple workbooks into the same AlignMix file, just as long as you have everything formatted correctly and you have that geographic column. In this case, it's zip codes. So let's click on Back and now select the file for import. And again, you'll notice all of the column labels appear in the same row, which we need in order for this import to work correctly. Click on Next, And now again, we drag zip code to zip code ID, territory ID goes to ID, territory name to name, district to district, region to region, and this time we pull in our sales rep to sales rep, and our population data goes to zip code data. Click Next. Again, we get a summary of everything we are about to import. Next again, and Finish. And there we have our geographic sales territories. If I right-click on a territory and go to Properties, you will see those assignments there. And apparently, this Omaha territory does not have a sales rep assigned to it. But if I click on the drop-down menu, you will see a full list of all of those sales reps. So let's select a different sales territory, right-click and go to Properties, and you'll see this one is called 177. That's the Denver territory. The sales rep assigned to this territory is Natalie Romanovska, and it's assigned to the Northwest District. So in one import, we were able to import our zip to territory assignments, assign territories to districts, districts to regions. We also have sales reps assigned to territories and population data linked to zip codes. All of that in just one import. As a final reminder, there is no specific order for these imports. You can import your sales accounts first, then import your geographic zip code to territory assignments like we just saw in this video. And there you have it. You've just learned how to import your zip code based data into AlignMix.